Hey you guys, welcome back to Crime Stories of Pakistan with your hosts Naz and Jehan. You may be noticing a lot more of Jehan and less of Naz, but that's because Naz is caught up. She's still very much a co-host of Crime Stories of Pakistan, but she's taking a little bit of a break. Having said that, as chirpy as I am right now, this particular case, you really need to brace yourself for it. We are diving into one of the most complex and disturbing realities happening in Pakistan. We're tackling a practice which is deeply rooted in some parts of rural Pakistan. And it is a practice so disturbing that it challenges everything we know about human rights, justice, and honor. But before we get into that, I think we first need to touch upon another practice widely spread in Pakistan called Watta Satta. Watta Satta basically translates into a give and take marriage. It is a practice where two families agree to marry off their children in an exchange arrangement. So for example, if family A has a son, Ahmed, and a daughter, Fatma, and family B has a son, Imran, and a daughter, Aisha, the marriage then is arranged between Ahmed and Aisha, but also A's daughter Fatma marries family B's son Imran. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like a daughter for a daughter sort of situation. And I think the sentiment behind this ritual, it's multifaceted. One obvious reason is since both families have vested interest in maintaining peace and harmony, it creates a sense of mutual accountability. I think one of the major reasons Watta Satta happens probably is because there is this exchange of children. There's little to no requirement of dowry. And in a Pakistani marriage, dowry is something which is a very well-known practice. It is when the boy lists down demands from the girl's family, which she has to fulfill by the time their nikah, their marriage, takes place. So I think in a Watta Satta situation, that pressure is completely chucked away because of the exchange of children. And then obviously I think Watta Satta is also done to keep, the wealth in the family, to keep the inheritance in the family. And I think the idea behind it is why get your son or daughter married to a stranger when you can get them married to ghar ke ladke or ghar ki ladki, like in the same household. Although these are very positive aspects of having a Watta Satta, it doesn't come without its challenges. And if problems arise in one marriage, then they often ripple into the other marriage. So if Aisha is being mistreated in her marriage, then it's very likely that the retaliation of that would be to mistreat Fatma. And I'm just going to keep all my personal opinions to myself. But keeping that in mind, we're going to explore another horrifying practice, which is called revenge rape, or a rape for a rape. Somewhat similar to the give and take notion of the Watta Satta, revenge rape occurs when the family of a rape victim seeks justice by raping the sister of the accused rapist. Yeah, I didn't just make that up. That's actually, you heard that right. It's a shocking and horrific practice still taking place under the guise of tribal justice. And to understand revenge rape, we need to first understand the system that enables it. The Jigra system, the Panchayat. A Jigra is an informal, all-male council of tribal elders. These councils are common in rural Pakistan, and they settle disputes based on local customs rather than formal laws. Their decisions are final, with no higher authority to appeal to. When the Jigra makes a decision, that's it. And it doesn't matter how unjust it is, It doesn't matter how violent that decision is. It doesn't matter how senseless that decision is. It's executed. In 2017, Pakistan's National Assembly passed a law giving legal cover to jigras and similar systems like panchayats. While this legal cover was probably intended to mediate civil disputes peacefully, what it also does is legitimizes councils that enforce brutal customs like revenge rape. And it's exceptionally rare for such cases to gain public attention because they're handled so discreetly by the jigras. Decisions are made off the record and they result in silence. But because an FIR was filed, this particular case came to light. So now I'm going to take you through a case that will make you question how, in this day and age, such practices are still allowed to exist. This case comes from the village of Rajaram, just south of Multan. On July 16, 2017, a 12-year-old girl, F, was in the fields cutting grass at around 2 p.m. when suddenly she was covered with a cloth, overpowered, and brutally raped. Despite the crime happening in broad daylight, the secluded nature of the fields made it possible for the rapist to act without being seen. Instead of seeking justice through legal channels, the victim's family turned to the jigra. And then on the 18th of July, 2 days after the assault on the 12-year-old, the accused rapist's home was ransacked. His mother recalls, quote, "At about 2 a.m., I was sleeping with my children when my 16-year-old daughter, Yu, was taken away by 3 men. We begged them to leave her alone, but they threatened to kill anyone who intervened." Unquote. What came to light was that the jigra had ruled that the rapist's family must face revenge for the crime. To them, the only justice was to have the rapist's sisters raped in return. If F was raped, why does his sister have to pay for his disgusting actions? How does this even make sense? Instead of severely punishing the rapist, the sole perpetrator of this heinous crime, the jigra decides that his sister should bear the punishment? How does one's mind even reach to the conclusion that the answer of the 12-year-old being raped is to rape the sister of the rapist? And 3 men, no less. The sheer brutality of this decision is incomprehensible. It's not just unjust, it's inhumane. So I needed to understand how such a practice came into existence. And this is what I found out. There is this long-standing tradition of using women as compensation to settle disputes, often in the form of vani or savra, and that is basically when girls are given in marriage to resolve feuds. So revenge rape appears to be an extension of this practice, but it replaces marriage with sexual violence as punishment. And in patriarchal societies, a family's honor is tightly linked to the behavior and purity of its women. So revenge rape is weaponized to dishonor an imposing family or tribe, serving as the ultimate form of humiliation. This horrifying custom highlights the reality that women are often seen as property rather than individuals. They are reduced to pawns in disputes between men. Unfortunately, in many regions, such practices are normalized, and they're rarely challenged, particularly in areas governed by rigid tribal or feudal systems. So after the incident, villagers then expressed their outrage. Amna Baby said, "May God have mercy. It was such a strange day, and it was such a big injustice." 46-year-old Imtiaz Matila said, "In our area, there is neither a school nor a hospital, and poverty and ignorance rules here. This incident is a mark of this ignorance." 65-year-old Manzoor Hussain said, "It's a stain on the name of the panchayat, the jigra." So clearly, you can see that the villagers know this is wrong. But is anyone challenging it? No. Is anyone stopping it? No. There's just This awareness that it's wrong, but we accept it because what can we do? After this incident, both girls were taken to a women's shelter in Multan. You guys, I just couldn't sleep for days after writing this script. It's been so hard for me to research it and write it down. And it's just infuriating to know that people know that it's wrong. They believe it's wrong. But they're doing nothing to change it. They're doing nothing to stop it. Mehdi Hassan, the chairperson of Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, stated, this is a 400-year-old system, the Jigra system. And to keep it in place, even today, is damaging both to democracy and to the rule of law. During the investigation, 20 men from the Jigra were caught, and then 4 more were arrested, bringing the total number of detained suspects to 24. Punjab Chief Minister Shahbaz Sharif demanded an explanation as to why the primary suspects had not been arrested the day the first FIR was lodged. According to police sources, after learning that the girl had been raped on the Jigra's orders, they facilitated a reconciliation process with Makhdoom Abbas as the mediator. Makhdoom basically suggested that the matter could be resolved by marrying the victims to their alleged rapists, an exchange marriage or a vatasata. One victim's mother told police that after the FIR was filed, they approached Makhdoom several times, but he repeatedly urged both sides to reconcile. But despite his efforts, thank God, the opposing family refused to respond to his summons. The maximum punishment for rape under Pakistani law is the death penalty. On the other hand, convicts may face imprisonment of up to 25 years. It really depends on the nature of the case. And what happened to these men? To these rapists? No one knows. No updates have surfaced, just like so many other cases before. And it really just seems like they probably have secured an out-of-court settlement to evade justice. I just cannot comprehend why the legal authorities aren't taking a stand. Why aren't they penalizing these jigras? Why aren't they making an example out of them to strip away their power? Considering jigra system is widely spread throughout Pakistan, why not use this opportunity to build fear in other jigra systems? I just cannot comprehend how such a corrupt system can still thrive. And just like any other case, justice delayed is justice denied. Countless of victims are still waiting for the authorities to deliver the justice they deserve, even if they feel that this system doesn't prioritize the well-being of women, children, animals, or even basic human dignity. You guys, the trauma caused by revenge rape, it's unimaginable. Women should not be treated as tools for resorting balance or pawns in a game of tribal honor. It's so disturbing. It's so disturbing. But if you know of similar practices, please leave a comment, message us, or email us. As disturbing as these stories are, there is a dire need for a cultural shift. A move towards a justice system where women's rights are respected, where victims have a voice, and practices like revenge rape are not just outlawed, but actively dismantled. And that's where we come in. It's vital that we keep talking about these issues, raising awareness and pushing for change. If you stuck around, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Crime Stories of Pakistan with your host, Jehan. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep listening to Crime Stories of Pakistan. Thanks, guys. Bye.